What is happening, fishing friends? Sean, the average angler, back here from a successful trip to Clearlake, California, where we flipped and pitched, for the most part, to cover for springtime bass. They're still in that mode. Big wave of spawners getting ready to move up. So we're going to go over the baits, show you how I rigged it, what we were using. Then we'll talk about what we were targeting, okay? To start out, this is actually kind of a rig because I broke off so many that I was down to using what I had. We probably had 20, 30 minutes of light left in the evening, and so I didn't even peg this one, which is a detriment because when you're pitching in the cover, the weight will separate from the bait like so, and it doesn't pull it through. So I was using a 795 mag medium heavy fast action Powell Flippin stick. This is a great rod for punching, for pitching decent distances. I really think that had I thought more about it, I probably would have used one of my Daiwa 765s, just because I'm a little more accurate with the little shorter rod, okay? A little less weight, a little more accurate. Cheers, folks. It's Pepsi. Got to have something to wet the palate. All right. I was throwing a Daiwa Tatula 7.1 gear ratio. And this is a great pitching reel. Very free, spins real well. As you know, most of my reels are Daiwa Tatulas. I have some new stuff coming for some tests, but we'll get into that in the next video. Test reviews, kind of some budget stuff, some good budget stuff I actually used of Bob Tyler's while I was there. Anyway, so the method for Clearlake and what I really like in the spring is a 1/2 ounce tungsten. I was rigging that most of the time with the 6/0 Trokar. Okay, 6/0 Trokar straight shank hook, which I like to snell. Like I said, I only took so many out on the boat with me, and as it got late in the day, I was out of the 6/0s. I had 3/0s, but the 3/0s don't support the bait very well with this big of a bait. So I ended up going to a 5/0 EWG offset hook, which I just don't like flipping and pitching near as much. I just find I get a better hookup ratio if I am snelling the hook. And while we're here, I will show you how to do that real quick. I didn't bring in a peg, so we're going to skip the peg, and I'm just going to snell this hook real quick, put it on there for you. We'll put the weight on, though, so I don't lose it. Snelling is really easy, especially once you've done it a few times and you get a little kind of routine going. It is fast. And I don't know, this is called the Monster Flip. It is a TK 135 6/0. It is a gaff of a hook, folks. It's a big one, okay? It's thick. Thick. Not gonna bend that out. All right, so to snell, and I know I went over this in one of my other videos. It won't take but a second here. Go in through the front. The front is the side with a hook point on it. I like to pull it back like so. And I like to use that barb keeper there. Create a little loop and then pinch it with my fingers, then take the tag in and use that barb keeper to lasso my line against, okay? So go around, and I got not enough line here. Yep, not enough line. So make sure you have enough, okay? Probably about 10 inches will suffice. 10, 11, somewhere around there. You want to wrap it 7 times, as Bob likes to say for a 7-pounder. 6, 7, and then I pinch it off there, run the line back up through that loop, and then slowly pull the loop in. And that's it. You're good to go. Trim off the tag. And when you set the hook, it kicks the head up. Okay. All right, so baits. As you all should know by now, I really like the Strike King Rage stuff. And Bob found out why. He'd been catching them on a brush hog. And then I took him to town with the Rage Bug, with the Magnum Rage Bug. There's what it looks like. Yes, it's missing an arm. A fish stole an arm off of it. Okay, anything green pumpkin, blue, green pumpkin, purple, just green pumpkin. You could do anything. One thing I do like to do if I'm using straight green pumpkin is I'll take these tips of the claws right here and I just put black on the top of one. Well, the pair, but not on both sides, just on one, okay? When it's falling, it gives it a really cool look. And try it out. Go out and look at it, drop it in a bucket of water. You may need a little more than a bucket of water to get it kicking so you can see it, but it's pretty cool. All right, so after a while, Bob decided that he'd had enough, and he rigged up. He switched from his brush hog to the Rage Craw. This is Falcon Craw. He was throwing some sort of green pumpkin variation. Okay, they were really on the green pumpkin. So what it tells me is it was the claw thing that the fish were interested in, because he was throwing a brush hog. It's not that different of a bait, but it is. These had some bulky areas, right? The body of this one's real bulky. He's got the claws, both of them. Now this bait, I wouldn't rig on that 6/0 Trokar. I'd go to a 4/0, mostly because the body, there's a lot less material there in the hook. This, as you can see, there's a lot of material in that hook. Look at the difference. Okay, it's probably 1.5 times as thick, and it's 2 to 3 times across. So it makes a big difference, all right? If you're pitching into heavy stuff, this will probably go through a little bit easier than this. That's often the times where I'll go to the Craw over the bug. If you got some real thick stuff, you can go to the Strike King Rodent, which is a great flipping pitching bait, but it doesn't have a lot of action. It doesn't have the kicker claws on it. It just has more of like a beaver type claws. So in the springtime, where are these fish setting up at? Now, my first answer is everywhere. But we're going to get more specific, okay? Because really, when it comes to bedding bass, you can't discount anywhere, okay? A lot of times they're under you. If you have the right kind of bank, which is sandy, gravel type rock, they'll spawn out in 7 to 8 feet. I like to say a foot deeper than you can see, 2 feet deeper than you can see. There's still enough light penetration for them. And they're pretty well protected because you can't see them from above. And you're kind of a needle in a haystack out there, okay? There are ways to catch them if you're patient and you know they're there. You can spend time fan casting around with something like a Senko or a Carolina rig, some sort of dragon bait, a jig. And when you drag it into their bed, a lot of times they'll eat it, especially if you're not sitting over the top of them, they don't see you, they get a little more defensive of it, or not as weary, I guess you would say, and they'll eat it. However, we were not fishing out that far. We were pitching to the bank, and we were looking for cover of some sort, right? Something different, because actually in a lot of these areas there was a lot of cover, whether it be duckweed or something over the top of them, tules. I wouldn't say that there was any one thing necessarily that stood out the most, other than, say, trees, okay? If there was a tree in the water and a tree trunk and some roots, that was a high percentage spot. If there was a step coming into the water, that was a high percentage spot. Some type of hard cover is a key spot. Now, some lakes, you may have plenty of that kind of stuff to keep you busy all day. And there probably is enough on Clearlake. However, you're going to be running all over the place. So you got to toss to a lot of other things. And when you're in between those two, you just kind of pitch up to anything that stands out. I look for things that stand out to me, right? Whether it be a shade line, a rock, a stick up of some sort, could be a twig. But you look for something a little bit different. It could be the contour of the bank, a little bit different. It could be what's on the bank, rock, gravel, big rock, not so big rock, mud. Anywhere where those two came together is a high percentage target. This is a great way to catch them in the spring. Clearlake right now is just kind of at that state, okay? We're about to come up on a full moon in the next couple days here. Today is Monday, and those fish are getting ready to spawn. There's probably some spawning. Most of what we saw was fish hanging out, waiting on the moon, as far as I could tell. It was somewhat bizarre, but that's what I believe it was. So flipping and pitching, I pitch a lot more than I flip. I keep saying that in my videos anytime we're talking about flipping and pitching. Flipping for me just isn't as play as much, because you need the right types of conditions. 1, some dirtier water. 2, some heavy cover. And actually right now at Clearlake you have that because the water's so high. Unfortunately, a lot of the areas where the fish are going to be hanging out, they're going to be way in the back and we can't even get to them. You can try flipping way up over and all that kind of stuff, but I think it tends to be that when it comes down, it's banging into a bunch of stuff and it just spooks the fish off. Now, if you want to dead stick it and leave it there for a minute, they may come back and eat it. That's another method you could always try in the spring, folks, is to dead stick the bait. If you think there should be a fish there, just let it sit and don't do anything to it. Wait 30 seconds, give it a little shake. Wait a minute, give it a little shake. A lot of times that fish will leave and then come back, and if that bait's still there, they're more apt to believe it's something natural because they're used to fishermen and baits coming in and out, in and out, in and out. not many people are dead sticking and letting the bait sit there that long. So it's something to keep in mind. Experiment when you're out there. Set the hook, get them in the boat. It's a lot of fun. We'll be doing another one soon. Thanks for watching. It's the Average Angler. Peace out.